Right now, it is crunch time for getting an internship. You're probably feeling stress and pressure if you haven't landed a job. But in this video, we're going to share special job search strategies which helped a student land multiple job interviews and even an internship with Apple. So stay tuned to learn from Pratik on how to land your dream internship here in America. Check it out. Hey friends, welcome to Chine Coaching. I'm Rob, and at Chine Coaching, we're all about helping international students and professionals find success in their cross-cultural journey. We've coached hundreds and thousands of students landing jobs here in America, and we're going to help you right now. Stay tuned to the very end, because especially Pratik's going to be sharing about his mistakes and lessons learned and things he would be doing differently as well. But we've got a great guest. Pratik, welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, Rob, for having me. I'm Pratik, master's student in University of California, San Diego. I'm doing my master's in computer science and engineering. I come from Pune in India, and my research has been, or my interests have been around artificial intelligence, machine learning, and natural language processing. Last summer, I had an opportunity to intern at Apple, and it was really a great experience. And along with it, even at UCSD, I'm enjoying my time doing research on AI and NLP. Thanks for having me here.
Yeah, I came across Pratik on LinkedIn. He's posting a lot of great content there as well for job search, and that's what led us to connect and share, help you guys in landing jobs. But first, let's jump in here and talk about the application process. As you were applying for jobs last summer, what did that application process look like for you?
So for internships, often we apply on the company specific website. They may have their own careers website. There was also LinkedIn, and LinkedIn seems really convenient with the easy apply option or the other facilities that exist. You also have some other portals like Handshake or Angel List where, you could get some internship listings. So when I started off with my internship search and, especially it was my first time looking for an opportunity in the US. So I went with these particular websites, trying to just apply. And the applications will be fairly straightforward. You have to upload your resume. You may have to put in, your previous work experience. Some companies do have specific questions related to the position that you are applying for. So for machine learning, they may ask you to describe one of the projects that you did, or there may be some specific questions around the position that you are applying for. Apart from it, though, I feel a lot of times you have to repeat the information in each application, and that is where it kind of started to get frustrating. When you apply to multiple positions, you don't hear back. You're still putting in that work, but the applications don't really work out. So the initial process was fairly me just applying on every website, every opportunity out there. But as the season progressed, I realized that maybe that wasn't the right way to go about it. So my subsequent applications also involved, reaching out to people through LinkedIn or Twitter, trying to see if anyone can refer me for a position, trying to see if I can attend any events that were organized by companies and, getting to know more about their teams, building up some connections there, and then subsequently putting in an application. So the first half of my application process, I think, was really, me applying all over the place. But the second half, I think I became more specific with the type of applications I was doing and getting to attend events. And even with Apple, I had an opportunity to attend one of their machine learning info sessions, which is where I, connected with a lot of their recruiters. And I think that definitely helped me with that.
Awesome. I love that you shared this because this is a great contrast on typically what doesn't work versus what does work. Just applying online, you're most likely not going to get a job in America. A few do, but most don't. But when you focus
Right.
on the networking, the relationships, and the referrals, going to events, connecting online, that is where the opportunities come from. So you're just a great example of seeing what didn't work, pivoting, and finding the better strategy of the hidden job market in America. So I love that you shared that. And the cool thing is then you got multiple job interviews, multiple job offers at great companies. So tell us about, these interview processes and then shortlisting and kind of the rounds that you went through.
Here, I feel I also have a good perspective to offer with the multiple offers that I had. So I got an offer from JP Morgan Chase and I also had an offer from Apple. And I think these two had really contrasting experiences. So to give you an idea, I feel even with internships, there are two ways in which companies go about this process. There are some companies which have a centralized process. You are shortlisted based on your potential or based on, how good of an academic record you present, and based on which you will have a standard interview process. Once you are selected through this particular process, then they'll have a team matching process with you, or they'll assign you to one of the teams. I think JP Morgan Chase kind of fell into this particular category wherein I had a initial telephonic interview, with one of the recruiters there, just briefing me about the process. I had to go through an online assessment, after which I had another telephonic interview with one of their machine learning engineers, followed by which then I had a super day when I gave three interviews, at the end of which I was, selected as one of their machine learning interns. And during the super day, I think I had around 15 or 20 more people with me for that particular super day. And I assume they gave out offers to, few of us from that particular cohort. So this was like a central
Wow.
process. Once I was selected, and then I got to know about some teams that, they introduced me and they gave me the liberty to select which team I would like to work with. So that was like, one perspective that I saw. On the other hand, with Apple, I felt the process was the exact opposite. Even the first call that I received from the recruiter was only because one particular team was interested in me. So, there was this particular team who felt that my experience aligned with what they were looking for. And so we had this kind of a process where there were very team specific interviews. I had a call with the manager. We had a initial, like, just trying to see a candidate team fit, how well we align, followed by a couple of interviews around machine learning programming. And once that was done, the team was sure about my candidature, and the process just went ahead straight in a very straightforward way. So I
Mm.
feel it's important to know what type of a company you are applying for, because based on which I feel you can cater your expectations also, as well as the way you present yourself. Because with the first type of companies where you have a centralized process, you just need to make sure you cover as many bases as possible. You have a good GPA, or you have projects. You're trying to have some sort of an experience with what they may expect for that particular position. But on the other hand, with the second type of companies where you have a team first approach, you can apply all that you want. But if your experience, if your expertise does not align with what the team is looking for, it's very hard that you will hear back. So it's important that you assess your expertise and realize what are the teams that you want to target. So with Apple, I felt the team that I ended up interning with, they had a project which was very similar to what I had worked with previously, and I think that's the
Mm.
reason I got the call in the first place. If I have to name a few companies here, Google, it has a centralized process followed by which you have team matching. So it's in that case, it's important that you cover all the bases which they expect from a standard candidate.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
for the other companies, I think it's important that you have, like, team specific profile resume. Tailor your resume, tailor your interview responses in a way that it shows your alignment with the particular team. So I think with Apple, that's how the process went. With Apple, I had my experience aligning really well with what the team was looking for, and I had three interviews followed by which they extended me an offer.
That's great. And I think the takeaway here is learning that different companies have different interview processes. Just like how you can't copy paste your resume, like you have to customize those for applications. Also,
Right.
there's going to be custom interview processes. So talk to people, get to know people in the
Yeah.
company so you can be best prepared, because interviewing at one company is going to be very different, as we saw here with Apple and JP Morgan. And you need to be prepared for those interview processes as well. How technical, behavioral questions, relationships, the length. That way you can be mentally ready to stand out. So that's a great compare and contrast as well. Thanks for sharing that, Pratik. You talked about getting chosen, getting interviewed, getting offered. How can people maximize the chances of getting job interviews and getting job offers in all the competition here?
There are a bunch of factors which come into play here, and we already discussed some of them, like networking. I think it's really important. At this particular time, even if you just look at all the social media sites around, it's a very stressful period. A lot of people are being laid off. But I feel it's important to highlight there that, the number of, layoff posts that you see, the number of, say, interested comments that you see, the number of, I'm open for opportunities type of posts that you see, just doing that is not going to be sufficient. Or even if you look at any job posting, you will see, I often see at least 500 plus applicants every week. Within a week there are more than 500 applicants, so it's the standard route is not going to help. So I feel it's important that you build connections, reach out to people individually, reach out to people through different types of social media sites. So it just doesn't have to be LinkedIn. You can also reach out through Twitter. I know a lot of people in the AIML community tend to be active on Twitter. Now there's also Mastodon. So trying to use those type of websites to build those connections, attending any events that the company may have. So networking is going to play a huge role, and at any given step, I feel a good way for you to know if you're going in the right direction is just asking yourself what's the probability, or how many people might be doing this exact same thing that I'm doing. And
Hmm.
if that number is really high, you know that your chances may not be very, very strong, because then it really comes down to a mix of luck and a lot of factors which may not necessarily be in your hand. So networking, I feel, plays a huge role. I think it's also important to maximize your chances that you have the relevant keywords in your resume, and you show your impact in terms of scale as well. Because in such a period where people are finding it hard to get an internship, everyone is trying to show the type of projects that they have, say, done during their course, or the type of projects they are done during their academia. And a lot of people will have similar type of projects. So what will help you stand apart is what's the level at which you have worked. What level of scale have you worked with, the number of people that you have worked with. If you are into management, how many teams have you managed, or what type of experiences that you have. The uniqueness of your experience, the scale of your experience can play a huge role. And if you do not have that experience, this may be a good time to take part in some a research lab in your university, or join a particular student society, get some experience there. These type of activities can help you stand apart. Apart from
Hmm.
this, I feel specifically in my major, programming plays a huge role. So while you are applying, make sure that you're always prepared for an interview. So if you happen to hear back, it shouldn't be the case, especially in this market, that you need more time to prepare, or that you aren't fully ready for the programming test or for any sort of a coding interview. So just making sure that you are pitch perfect at coding, as much possible, can also play a huge role. In that
Yeah.
case, it's easier for the companies to trust you.
Yeah, I totally agree with what you said. I love that you talked about standing out. Standing out is so important in America, and not blending in, and quantifying your impact so that companies
Right.
can see your unique value proposition. That's what's going to help you maximize to get interviews and get job offers, is standing out, being unique, and showing proof that you can do what you say you can do. You especially, are into machine learning and did an ML internship. So quickly, just tell us, how might an interview be different for a machine learning kind of position?
I think, in machine learning, a significant amount of time goes into training a particular model or a system, and it may be hard to imitate this during an interview. So the interviewer has to trust you a lot also on your previous experience. So I feel, compared to other types of majors or job positions, machine learning interviews often do revolve a lot around your resume, what you have done previously. They want to grill you on the level of work that you did, the type of decisions that you took. So you need to be able to justify all the things that you did in, say, a particular machine learning project. And they may often put some what if questions around those same projects. So say if you did a project, for 100 users, the interviewer might just ask you, what if I have to scale this to 1 lakh users, what can I do? So in that case, those type of questions, which are what if scenarios based on your previous work, or based on something that the company is doing right now, where they want this particular intern to join. So those type of questions, I feel, cover a good amount of time in your interview. There are also questions around just explaining algorithms, explaining things. So the programming part, actually writing a code, may not be as much as it is for a software interview or for data science, because it's hard to replicate those experiments in real time. So for especially for internships, I feel during that half hour or during that 1 hour, they'll ask you a good amount of questions around machine learning algorithms, around your projects, around your resume, what if questions. And of course, they will have some level of programming just to check if you have that basic proficiency.
That's great. And before we cover kind of your mistakes and lessons learned, friends, if you're loving this video and learning a lot from Pratik just like me, hit that like button to say thanks to him for sharing his story, his insights to help you on your job search. And our chai question for you guys, our audience, is what kind of internships are you looking for? Go ahead and tell us in the comments right now, what kind of internship are you looking for? What kind of role, maybe which kind of company? And let's see if we can help each other out. Let's see if there's some networking that can happen here in the comments and help each other out in your guys' internship search. So, Pratik, a year ago was your job search process for these internships. You got interviews, you got jobs. If you were doing it differently a year ago, if you were in their shoes right now, what would you do different? What were kind of the things you look back and realized I could have done better here?
I think that's a great question, Rob, because especially, it's easier to connect those dots backwards. So I feel, now that I look at this, the way the process went, the first half of the internship search, I think I did not, as I explained earlier, I feel I was just applying all over the place, and just putting in applications. I'm not sure if that was the right approach to go about it, especially, considering that a lot of people may have done the exact same thing. So I feel I could have spent a lot more time in tailoring my applications, not focusing on quantity of applications. Often one way that I used to track my progress, or, am I doing good in this search, was by tracking the number of applications that I was putting. And I don't think that was the right parameter, because, an application may just take 5 minutes to submit or 15 minutes to submit. But on the other hand, I think I should have rather focused on, the number of connections that I made today, the number of recruiters that I was able to reach out to, the number of people that I heard back from. So I think those type of metrics might have been a good indicator to assess my progress during the process.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
apart
It's
from
all
it, I
about
feel also,
measuring the networking and the relationships and not just the number of applications online. I'm totally for that.
right, right. Apart from it, I feel also looking at the number of events that I was able to attend, trying to see if there was any other way in which I could have been, able to be a part of these, because I feel I was dependent a lot on the information that reached to me rather than me trying to get to those, posts or those events. So I feel I wasn't very proactive in trying to attend a lot of these sessions. But looking back, I feel they were helpful. The limited number of sessions that I did attend did open up a lot of opportunities for me, be it as simple as just getting to connect to a recruiter, or even just having my resume into one of their custom resume pools. So instead of, like, just a standard application, having attended these events, I feel definitely made a big impact on the way my internship process went, especially in the second half of it.
Yeah.
And finally, I just feel like, having more number of referrals in my applications. I talked about this earlier on LinkedIn, but I did around 80 applications. If the last count that I kept was around 80 or 85. The first 60, 65 of them did not have a single referral. So, and I
Hmm.
feel that kind of wasn't really helpful at all looking back at it. Out of the 15 last applications that I did, all of them had a referral. And I heard back from four companies and I got offers from three. So, I think the conversion rate went significantly up, and there was a better way for me to know where I stood in that particular, application process.
I love it. Those are some great data, some great analytics to show of like what doesn't work versus what works. And sadly, it's true. Actually, a lot of students, especially F1 international students, do not get internships. You are not guaranteed a CPT internship or OPT full time job in America. There's a lot of competition. A lot of students don't know the right way, which is why we make these kind of videos. But if someone doesn't get an internship, it's June, summer starts, they don't have an offer, what should they do? What are options? How can they maximize their summer if they don't get an internship?
Again, I feel it's a great question, especially considering the job market right now. It's really hard, even if we discuss all of these strategies, it's hard to know how the market responds. And this may actually be a reality where not a lot of people may be able to get internships. And I speak specifically for internships here because I feel I'm kind of in the same boat for full-time opportunities. So maybe, down the line, we'll be able to talk about this. With
Hmm.
internships, I feel during the summer for a CPT, always keep this in mind that there's a realistic chance that you may not get an internship. That's the first step towards this process, I feel, because a lot of people get disappointed or depressed because they find it hard to accept this reality. I feel just keeping this in mind that this could be an outcome and planning for it is a better way of, looking at these circumstances. One thing that you can do is SRIPs or summer research internship programs. So your own university, a lot of faculties, they do not have the same number of weeks, as a vacation as all of the students do. So, a lot of the faculty stay back on campus, and at least for 8 to 10 weeks they have an opportunity to mentor students, do some research projects, and they'll also often pay you by the hour. So I feel it could be a good way to get some experience, working with the faculty, and that may also open up their network for you, for full-time opportunities. So look for summer research programs or just summer projects, in your own university, and also try to reach out to other universities. Under CPT, it should be possible for you to work in another university as well.
Hmm.
So especially if you feel that, there are opportunities at universities that are ranked higher than yours, or, there are opportunities with professors which are very well known, try to put in applications there as well. Because if you get a chance to work there, it can do a whole lot of good on your resume and, cover up for any differences that may exist because of your university ranking. So I feel that's one opportunity that exists. Apart from this, try to see if you can get into a lot of, early stage startups, even something as small as a 5-person company, a 10-person company. And, because those are more interested. Remember that for your CPT, you do not need a fully like a full-fledged company, anyone can sponsor a CPT for you. Like that's based on my experience where you need a CPT support letter. So I feel that CPT support letter should be possible for companies to be able to give out. So try to see if you can get that from a startup, especially when you work at a 3%, 5%, 10% company. You get a good amount of exposure, and I feel that's in fact that can sometimes be better than working in a very big organization where you get very little on your plate. So try to see if startups is an opportunity, especially in your local city, in your local area. There will be a lot of these type of companies. So try to see if that's an option. Apart from this, at the very least, even getting to do voluntary work. I know it may be hard for you to be able to manage your finances, but if somehow this can be done, voluntary work in a research lab or a center or under a professor is also good because it's at least giving you an experience. And also, if it's a voluntary work, you can often also think if you want to move to a say move back to your home country temporarily, because it may help you with your finances. At the same time, work with a professor or a research lab. So I feel that's a good opportunity to think about.
Yeah.
And
Or with that too, Pratik, you could do maybe 20 hours a week on campus job to help cover the bills, and then, 20 hours a week volunteer work, or 30 and 30, where you can
right,
still get pocket money, but then also get tangible resume experience.
right, exactly. That's a great suggestion. And apart from this, I also feel you can think of opportunities and even remote internships from Europe or Canada. I know a lot of people don't explore it, but especially while you are on an F1 visa, being a part of a university in the US, you may have an advantage. I don't think I'm the best person to talk about this, but I have heard about this previously that being able to do some limited projects or a summer internship with those type of startups should also be a possibility. So especially if done remotely. So I feel there are opportunities. Do not feel dejected. There are different ways in which you can utilize your summer. Outside of
Yeah.
all of this, even just preparing it for your full time, just making sure that you do a lot of coding preparation, or depending on your major, working on a one particular project. And there are other ways to raise your finances as well. Especially in the summer, a lot of companies will organize hackathons. There will be fest, tech fest. You can go there, do those type of projects, and even those can help you build up on your resume and maybe also help you with some sort of a financial output.
Yeah. Wow. So, you guys, this was incredible. So much amazing information. Pratik has just laid out a roadmap for you guys, step by step, on how to land amazing internships, get job offers here in America. Please take what he said and apply it. And if you want to learn more, we have a whole playlist on the Chine Coaching channel where students share their CPT and OPT stories about how they got jobs. We have many students who share their stories of getting multiple internships, just like Pratik. So go check those out. We'll have the link and learn from these stories. Follow what people are doing when they're finding a success. And Pratik, thank you so much, my friend. I learned a lot. I know this is going to be so valuable. And thank you for sharing your story to help others out.
Thank you so much for having me here today. It was a pleasure. Thanks a lot.
Definitely. Make sure you guys connect with us online on social media, Instagram, LinkedIn. Pratik is always posting great tips on LinkedIn as well. You don't want to miss that. Be subscribed to our Chine Coaching newsletter for more resources, tips, upcoming events. And we love having y'all be part of the Chine Coaching community. Thanks for tuning in. Let us know in the comments which other kind of content you want us to make, and we'll see you next time. Cheers, everyone.